Welcome back, and we're going to be dealing with the front end of things, the sharp end. So let's run through what we've got planned for this. Well, we're going to swap out that ludicrously long cable for our short version. We're going to be painting the forks, the cleaning up the wheel itself, and that. Talking of which, this is really interesting. I've not seen this before. It's quite the cacophony of engineering down here. So I don't know if you noticed when we did the rear brake drum and I operated the lever just to spring things apart a bit to help get the shoes off. But what usually happens with a single kind of lever on a drum brake, it operates one side okay and not so much the other. And what Honda have done here, which I really like, is try and balance that out with this rod that goes between two levers. So when you operate the brake lever, which I'll try and demonstrate, both sides get squeezed. Nifty idea. Like it, Mr. Honda. So yeah, obviously we're going to be checking out the brake shoes and replacing them if necessary. They're substantially more expensive than the rear ones, unfortunately. And we're going to take that off again and paint it with our candy, because that anodized stuff's rubbish. I think that's about the size of it, so let's get it up in the air and get the front wheel off and get started. So I've done a little cleaning, as you can see. I've cleaned the other side of the spokes, so we've got this side to go. That's very tedious, doing that before we take the front end off. And then we'll take the wheel off, jack it up, spray the forks, and see if we can do something about this. It's very stiff to operate the brake, so we'll investigate that once we get the hub. There, that's better. There's actually a blend of the candy and the metallic engine paint that I bought, the burnt copper. So yeah, quite nice. Fade. Having cleaned up the spokes, next job was to loosen off the Speedo cable, and that screw there was jammed solid. But luckily, this boy, impact driver, got it loose. Invaluable tool for old motorcycles and old geezers, old anything really. So that's that free and clear. Next up, brake cable, and then I guess we can get it up in the air. And to do that, it's a question of getting that little lip there on the cable just raised enough so you can slot it out that line there. As you can see, there's a hole at the back where it sits. There, that's a little bit clearer. Then it seems to get the cable free, you've got to pull this thread all the way through. Ridiculous. Like so. And then you can get the cable out here. Don't think I've seen that before. But then it's a long time since we've looked at brake cables as opposed to that kind of stuff. There's some other lovely design features from Honda on this front drum assembly, in that you'll see it's got this little lip which starts about halfway front and back, and I'm guessing the only purpose of that is to stop rainwater kind of seeping into the drum itself through that little split, because it pours it off the edge. Can't think why else it's there. Quite a nice little touch. Very thoughtful, Mr. Honda. And next up, we've got to release those two bolts on both sides, and then I think this actually unscrews the axle itself. I think it unscrews. There's nothing the other side. So we'll see. Everything in position and ready to take the front end off. Free and clear. We are propped on another rear axle, actually from an R6. So that's doing that, and now we're going to take this apart, which involves 2 screwdrivers, one either side, and then just twist like so. Brakes look pretty new. So just removing the braking mechanism stuff, because unfortunately the metal here is not just dirty, it's actually the surface is kind of corroded in places. So we're either going to paint this up or wire brush it, I think. So that return spring just unclips and then pulls out there. See that clips on the back side of that. A little bit of leverage required to just lever those off those spindles there, for want of a better word. And we have one hub ready to clean. Right, now that's cleaned up with a little bit of that and one of those. You can see what I mean, where I know it's even paint or something, but anyway, the coating is very much deteriorated. So I think what we're going to do is just give that a quick sand over and then paint it. No, don't worry, not orange. I happen to have something quite suitable. That. Possibly that, but I like the dull aluminium. A little bit of wire brush. And my new favourite, ball slot. There it is. Lovely. That was easy. So going to replace all that grungy stuff with some nice new M6 bolts. And I happen to find a new Allen head M5 countersunk for that boy there. Oops. Yeah, might be a bit long. If not, we've got that one that isn't countersunk, although I think it really matters. It just holds the Speedo cable in place. Don't even need a Speedo really, who cares. Also dropped in a couple of new O-rings, rubber this time. Marvellous value kit, I think it was about $10 for all those, something crazy. The originals were some kind of cloth, so I'm hoping rubber's going to be okay. Let me know if I'm totally horribly wrong. Cleaned those up a bit. Tomorrow we will paint the forks. Yes, orange. Alright, that's that all bolted up. I have to tell you, these were a right fiddle to get back on. Basically because there's a non-serrated element of those spindles. You can see it there, the same over here, and you have to kind of get it all lined up using this adjustment to make sure that's all in the right place. Anyway, I think it's all in the right place. We'll see. That one looks a bit wonky, doesn't it? And the release on it is still dubious, I have to say. Anyway, how are we doing with the forks? Well, we're masked up and ready to go. Yeah. 2 generous coats so far, and 2 more coats later. Lovely. Right, put the front wheel back on. Bingo. And we're replacing these horrible old nuts with some Nylocks and some new washers. So we won't be needing any lock washers. Right, that's all that buttoned up. Do remember to put this bit back on to keep that in place. It's easier to put this on before we put the wheel on, if you like. Anyway, there we go, just the brake cable to go. Given this was quite a palaver to get off from the bottom end with the top end still connected, I'm figuring we start down here and work it out at the top. So here we go. So first of all, undo this nut all the way at the end, then that slips through there, and the rest of that goes through there like that. Nice and easy. Now remember, this boy, the slightly smaller sleeve part of the cable, sits in that top hole there. So we've got to get it in there and then just slide it back. So from the bottom up there, right up the top, and then when it pulls back, it will just seat itself effectively in that hole, like so. So it'll end up looking like something like that down the bottom end here, with those nuts against that housing there, which is where all your adjustment is. And that will be the fun part, having hooked it into the handlebars, with probably a lot of swearing and cursing involved. Meantime, I have swapped out that bolt there, which holds the Speedo cable in place, for an Allen head, preferable to a Phillips. Unfortunately, the countersunk one was too long, so gone for that one. It fits nicely and it's the right length. More importantly, you'll see there's a little slot in there and a corresponding doofer in there. Line them up and plug it in. Brake cable wise, that's about the size of it once it gets up here. And as we can see, that is shorter. Not as much as I wanted it to be, but it ties in with that Speedo cable, alright, so I guess that'll do. Good as we're going to get without getting one custom made exactly to the right length that we want, which we could do if we could be bothered. Easiest way to get this bugger out is to unscrew this bit first. So you've got free and clear cable that you can pull through the slots there, and then you can just wiggle it out of the hole. He says, like so. And you can pull the whole thing. Oops, I don't know what that was. Something fell off. And pull the whole thing round until you can pull it down. Now it'll just drop out the bottom. I can't do this one-handed. No. And the reverse for the new cable. So we'll just slip this boy back on and get it moving. So far, no swearing and cursing yet. Right, so there's that back on the cable. Now just got to get it in there. It's just a little bit tricky. You just got to make sure it's absolutely squared up to the hole and screw it in and then adjust it. This has all gone horribly smoothly. There must be something wrong. So again, you got more adjustment up the top end. Round nose pliers, whatever, long nosed. And then just that, seal it up. Looks like we've got some adjustment to do. Alright, that's all adjusted up top and down the bottom, and that's the job done. Yes indeed, front end sorted, refurbished. Sorry I didn't do the brakes, but if you want to know how to do brake shoes, then check out the rear end, because I did it then. You've probably already seen it, hopefully. So if you thought the video was any good, give it a thumbs up, of course, and subscribe down here if you haven't already. And of course, encourage others to watch my lunacy.